What's good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this, I want to break down what's happening to Tesla SPY and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the overall market moving forward and talk about some very important levels. But let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. You deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $1,000, and you're guaranteed 15. This offer ends very soon, in just about 13 days from now. Anyways, for Tesla, we have this very, very nice looking range that's been established. We're going kind of back and forth between supply and demand. The resistance at this 258 area, we have support currently all the way down here around 246. So I just want to call out those levels very, very carefully. But as you can see, we've been just stuck in this consolidation phase as the market's kind of dipping a little bit. Tesla's been, instead of just straight up dipping, it's actually just on a very, very sideways channel. It's been like this for the past 3 to 4 days. I think Tesla's going to likely continue to do so. So I'm going to be looking at support at 252 and then 250 and resistance at 255. We've been going back and forth for quite some time, and I think there's a good chance Tesla will continue to do so for today. All we're doing right now is consolidating. We kind of pumped a bit, then went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. We're going to likely continue to do so, in my personal opinion. That's what I'm seeing for Tesla, at least moving forward. Now, I want to talk more about the other stocks out there, but just know that SPY, SPY, the QQQ, they all had quite a bit of downside. We saw some dips that were forming, and this is a result of some very, very important news. So why is the market dipping? Why did we get this rug pull? There's many different reasons behind this. Let's first talk about this news about Tesla. Then I'm going to break down the reason why the market dipped. So for Tesla, there's actually been a lot of talk about how the bears have a big threat, which is the fact that energy storage is actually a very, very big catalyst, at least for the company moving forward, which is oftentimes overlooked. Now, Tesla announced over the deployment of their 9.4 gigawatt hours of energy storage products in Q2, which could be very, very useful for earnings, which is less than a week out from now. So, with earnings coming up, this could be very, very useful for Tesla, and this could actually end up surpassing a lot of people out there. The energy division only made about $6 billion in revenue for the full year of 2023, whereas the automotive sector is made up about 90 billion. With just those extra few billion could still make up a big difference when you look at this for the long term, because as time goes on, this could eventually be worth tens of billions of dollars, which is still a significant amount of money. So I think the energy division is going to become a bigger catalyst for Tesla. I think it's going to continue to grow, and I can't wait to see what else the future holds. And I think that this is oftentimes overlooked because of their deployment practices that are just improving, and the fact that Tesla is still looked at very differently from different investors as more of a car company, whereas it has so many different sectors and streams of revenue that could help improve its earnings. Now, for data about the markets, the market pumped initially because initial jobless claims was once again showing more signs of contraction in the labor market, and the market's kind of like looking for a cut. So this is what Jerome Powell said to be watching out for. The market was a little bit more positive with this reaction. Initially, we had 243,000 initial jobless claims above expectations. It's like this because of the fact that we're seeing not only contractions, but a big shift right now in the way the Fed is kind of seeing things. Jerome Powell also mentioned that the Fed is getting ready for potential cuts before we get a 2% inflation target. So we'll see what the Fed ends up giving us, but that's what's coming out so far. There's not really much more data that's coming out that's too significant. We have Logan giving a speech in Dali, but nothing else. However, the market was holding up with this data. You guys can see how it was holding up in the 560 area for the first couple of minutes, first almost like 20-30 minutes, the market was holding up. And then we got this big rug pull on SPY, right? We got this big rug pull. Same thing on the QQQ. And then Tesla, of all things, just started kind of chopping even when this news came out. It's been dipping a little bit. It's kind of a dip downtrending just a little bit because of this news. And that's this right over here. So there's big news coming out that top Democrats are saying that Biden will exit the presidential race. Why on earth is the market dipping because of this? The answer is because of uncertainty. The market has an idea of what a possible Trump presidency will be like. Same thing with Biden. And that's the reason why the market just holds up very well, especially when we see like certain pieces of news. But now when you see news about how, this candidate may drop out, it makes the market think about the uncertainty about what would happen if that ends up being the case, because then policy could be adjusted differently. There could be things the market doesn't know. So the market does not like uncertainty. It likes to be certain about things. And when you see news like this, it leads to uncertainty about what the next candidate could actually look like if this were to be the case. So lots of top Democrats are saying Biden will exit. If that is the case, right, that would be, this could initially cause a drop in the markets, just initially, because of the reaction, because of the uncertainty. So from the way I see things, we're gonna actually go back to Tesla and SPY afterwards. Tesla's just choppy. It's going back and forth and back and forth. Look at that 255 resistance and then support around this 251 to 252 area. If we lose that, look for 248. Overall, it's just range bound, going back and forth and back and forth. There's not really a whole lot else that's going on with Tesla for now. Now, for SPY, on the other hand, we're dipping a little bit. If you look at the 5 minute time frame, we actually saw a bit of a dip. And I just wanted to call out that we did end up losing our 4 hour 50 EMA. So that's actually a sign of weakness on SPY. And then you'd want to be going to the daily chart after that. You guys can see we're very close to our low. This is very close to our 20 EMA near 552. So I think it is possible SPY dips a little bit closer to this, but then we could be looking for a bounce very soon between 552 and 553. That's critical support. If we lose 552, we're going all the way down to 550. We'll see if SPY bounces off that support or not. It could dip a little bit more before we try to get that bounce. So I'll be watching for that very carefully. A big test at the 20 EMA at the 552s. Now, on top of this, we also have Nvda. Nvidia has support at 116, and resistance all the way up here towards 122. I think that Nvidia could be dipping closer to about 116 again. We'll have to see if we bounce or not, but I'm seeing some bearish signals, especially on the daily time frame. For Bitcoin, there could be a dip coming all the way down to its um, 50 EMA. So I think that we could be retesting 62,600. So watch for that very carefully on Bitcoin. For the QQQ, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. You know, we were supposed to hold 478. We're actually just barely holding it. We could actually start to dip lower. Going to be looking for 460, 474 as a potential target if we fail to hold above 478. And then we could bounce off that level near 474. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. For Apple, Apple has 222.11 as key support. If we hold this, we're going to be looking for a rebound. If we lose this, we'll be dipping lower. But we're approaching some critical support at 222, washed out on Apple. If we lose that, 220 is coming. So that's going to be very, very key. For Supermicro, we're getting a big rejection. We're now, we just lost 800. Going to be looking to see how well we hold around 775. So watch that as key support. So we'll see how things end up moving, at least from here. On top of all of this, I wanted to mention that the IWM Russell 2000, it's kind of dipping a little bit. Could be approaching 220, so we'll just have to see what kind of reaction we get. But overall, it's not looking too bad in my opinion. It's actually on a very, very strong uptrend. And I think that it's going to continue to push into the 240s as the next month or two progress. For the short term, it might dip closer to 220, so we'll just have to see what kind of reaction we get. But overall, not looking too bad. Now, I also want to mention that as far as other factors continue, I think that there's a good chance that other stocks are going to be looking for big tests as well. I think that coin could get closer to about this support over here around 235. And if that fails, let's look for 232. And then we will be looking to see if we get a bounce off those levels, but there could be a little bit more downside coming. Amazon's looking a little bit more bearish, going to be looking for basically 180. This 180 zone could be tested, so we'll see if we get a bounce or not. Watch 182.5, then 180 as supports. I'm seeing a little bit more bearish signal, so it might dip a little bit lower before we try to get that bounce. Meta still looking kind of weak, looking at 468 as resistance, and our support happens to be all the way down here around 465. We'll have to see if we get a bounce or not off these levels, so be very, very careful. For Microsoft, excuse me, guys, we have this very, very key level of previous resistance, which is now going to become our support around 435. So I think we might dip a little bit lower and see if we get a bounce off 435 or not. For Google, I think we're going to be testing support at 178. If that fails us, we're coming down to 176, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. Still look a little bit more bearish on tech, so just keep that in the back of your mind. SPY could dip a little bit more, but make sure you watch this key support near our 20 EMA. So we'll just have to see how things go. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. As far as Tesla goes, we're just very choppy, kind of range bound. Tesla is in a very, very short consolidation phase, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to last because there's going to be a huge move coming next week with earnings coming out. So that's going to be critical for the way Tesla ends up moving. With that being said, thank you for listening, guys. I'll be back in a couple of hours for another update. Have a great day and peace out.